Very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television this Saturday morning. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor. All the biggest news stories from India and across the world coming up ahead. Let us start with the headlines. Ahead of budget presentation, Prime Minister Modi to meet ministers, Niti Aayog officials, industrialists, focus on roadmap to boost economy, jobs. Encephalitis death toll 139 in Bihar. 127 deaths in Muzaffarpur alone. Heat wave claims over 100 lives in the state. Chief Minister directs extensive action. Pakistan gets a dire warning on terror financing. Global watchdog FATF gives it time till October to show results or get blacklisted. US seeks UN Security Council meeting over Iran shooting down US drone. President Donald Trump says he called off military action after being told it could kill 150 people. And in World Cup cricket, India take on Afghanistan today. Rishabh Pant to make a tournament debut, replacing injured Shikhar Dhawan. In another clash, New Zealand to face the West Indies. Yesterday, Sri Lanka shocked tournament favourites England, won by 20 runs. The top story this morning, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold a meeting with the economists and experts this evening. Now, organised by think tank Niti Aayog, the meeting will be attended by various ministers, Niti Aayog officials, leading economists, sectoral experts and industrialists. The meeting is being held to discuss economic policy roadmap for promoting growth and employment generation. Prime Minister Modi is also likely to discuss the budget proposals in the meeting. News from Parliament, a fresh bill to ban triple talaq was introduced in the Lok Sabha on Friday amid protests by the opposition. The Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Marriage Bill 2019 was introduced in the lower house by Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad, who called the legislation as essential for gender equality and justice. The bill was introduced with 186 members supporting and 74 opposing it, with Congress MP Shashi Tharoor calling it a textbook example of a class legislation as it was pointed at one community. AIMIM MP Asaduddin Owaisi also called the bill a violation of constitutional rights. Now, with the dissolution of the 16th Lok Sabha last month, the previous bill had lapsed as it was pending in the Rajya Sabha.
543 cases of triple talaq has come from 2017, in which more than 229 is after the judgment. तो क्या करें, ये महिलाएं जजमेंट को अपने घर में टांग लें, इसीलिए डिटरेंस जरूरी है। और मेरे पास दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट का फैसला है जिसने ऑर्डिनेंस को अपहोल्ड किया है और ऑर्डिनेंस के बाद 31 केसेस आए हैं। इसलिए सर, ये इंसाफ का मामला है, इंसानियत का मामला है, इस मुल्क की महिलाओं के लिए इज्जत आबरू का मामला है। इसीलिए हमारी सरकार खड़ी है सर, और इस पर हमारी प्रतिबद्धता है सर। हमको लगता था कि चुनाव में हारने के बाद वो इस बात को समझेंगे कि अब थोड़ा सोचने की जरूरत है। मैं इस बिल को इंट्रोड्यूस करता हूं सर, और सदन से आग्रह करूंगा इसको पास करें।
Because sir, abandoning or deserting wives and dependents is not unique to the Muslim community, why not make a law which universally criminalizes the abandonment of family and dependents without taking responsibility, instead of just focusing on one community?
The bill exceeds the legislative because one second, in list 3 of schedule 7, item number 1 deals with criminal law, item number 13 deals with civil procedure, item number 5 marriage and divorce. So triple talaq comes under item number 5, which deals with marriage and divorce. This is neither criminal nor civil but personal law. So the government cannot deal this as a criminal matter, and this is abuse of the legislative power. I strongly oppose the introduction of the bill, because it is violation of Article 14, Article 15, Article 25.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जजमेंट दिया कि ट्रिपल तलाक अब वॉइड है, यानी शादी खत्म नहीं होती है। जब शादी खत्म नहीं होती है और हमने कानून बनाया है, क्या है? डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस एक्ट, 498 आईपीसी, 125 सीआरपीसी और मुस्लिम वुमेन प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट 1986. So because of this, your bill, purported bill, does not satisfy intelligible differentia.
And on the first full working day of the 249th session of Rajya Sabha, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu called for parliamentary reforms. He urged for a debate for automatic lapsing of any bill passed by the Lok Sabha but pending in the Rajya Sabha with the dissolution of the lower house. He suggested that any bill pending for more than 5 years in the upper house should be considered as lapsed. He also expressed deep anguish and cautioned against dysfunctional legislatures.
Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu made an important observation in the upper house on Friday, as 22 bills that were pending in the Rajya Sabha lapsed with the dissolution of the 16th Lok Sabha and another 33 bills pending in the upper house for years, including 3 that have been pending for more than 20 years. Chairman Naidu called for a debate on automatic lapsing of any bill passed by the Lok Sabha but pending in the Rajya Sabha with the dissolution of the lower house.
Honourable members, since my assumption of the office of the chairman of this august house, I have been expressing time and again my concern about the disruptions of the proceedings of the house and the negative public perception arising out of this dysfunctional state of affairs. Substantial loss of functional time results in very low productivity, pendency of crucial legislations, and the resultant lapse of some of these bills on the dissolution of the Lok Sabha. Every question hour lost means an opportunity of seeking answers from the government on a number of issues of policy implementation and governance by around 40 members. Every 0 hour lost means depriving 15 members from raising issues of immediate public importance. Similarly, if the House does not function, about 10 more members lose their opportunity of raising many issues in the House in other forums.
He also expressed concern over the loss of time due to disruptions and asserted that the dysfunctional, disruptive environment must change and that further weakening of democratic structures cannot be allowed.
Our nation has just entered the 70th year of Republic. Legislatures and their honourable members should discharge their noble responsibilities. As the House of Elders, we need to lead by example. This is a privilege that the people bestowed on us. The expectations are high. Our responsibilities are onerous. We can ill afford to regret over the lost opportunities we had. If we fail our people, we fail our nation. We cannot allow this to happen. We need to reassure each citizen that we can bring about a distinct change, and that change shall begin with each political party and each member of this House.
He also sought a debate on the reasons why there was a wide gap between the number of bills passed by the 16th Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha.
The bills passed by the Lok Sabha and pending in the Rajya Sabha lapse with the dissolution of the House of the People. They have to be reintroduced in Lok Sabha, and the entire process has to be gone through afresh. This means a lot of delay. Can we make any change in this regard? So just suggestion. The House of Parliament seems to lose a lot of time in disruptive expression of adversary position. Can we change this approach and improve the quality of debates and make decision making a little quicker than now? Third, quite a few bills are pending in Rajya Sabha for decades without required consideration. Should we continue them or treat them as lapsed? Let me elaborate on each one of them and suggest we collectively only think of feasible solutions to each one of them.
Reminding the members that Rajya Sabha, being the House of Elders, has an added responsibility. The chairman said that people expect a mature outlook, dispassionate and sensitive contemplation, and meaningful deliberations on issues of public importance. He urged members to live up to the expectations and be role models for other legislatures. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now on to some other news. The death toll in the deadly encephalitis outbreak in Bihar continues to mount. Three more children succumbed to the acute encephalitis syndrome, taking the total death toll to 139. The government-run SKMCH hospital has alone accounted for 107 casualties so far. 20 children have died in private hospital, taking the toll in the Muzaffarpur alone to 127. And as per official figures, over 600 children are affected by the disease. Muzaffarpur is likely to receive rain today, which is expected to bring down the number of encephalitis cases in the city. High number of deaths this year has been blamed on hypoglycemia, that is the sudden drop in blood sugar levels, which some experts attribute to malnutrition and the consumption of unripe lychee on an empty stomach. All right, our colleague Panchanan Mishra is now joining us on the phone line for more details. Panchanan, you had travelled to Muzaffarpur to take a you covered the ground situation there very, very closely, and we found that the case of encephalitis also found echo in Parliament yesterday as well. And now the experts are saying that since the monsoons are near, the rain is expected to bring down the cases of the people affected by the disease. What more can you tell us?
Aishwarya, first, there is some news of respite in Muzaffarpur because in some part of Muzaffarpur there was very light rain yesterday night. So doctors are saying that there is a direct relation between the rain and the disease because the experience shows that when the climate is slightly cool, then there is no cases of encephalitis. So, but the situation is still serious because many children are admitted in hospitals in SKMCH and also this Kejriwal hospital. And 3 children died since midnight till now. But the despite is that the weather is now something pleasant, and the doctors are expecting that there will be very less admissions due to this encephalitis. But as I told, that situation is still serious, and many we have seen that in many villages adjoining this Muzaffarpur, like Samastipur, Vaishali, people are shifting their children from these areas to other areas where there is no effect of encephalitis. So the situation is quite grim, and it's every year there is a encephalitis incidents in this area. So now government has learned the lesson, and we are expecting that from this season to next season there will be more preparations, and hospitals the facilities in hospitals will be improved.
All right. Thank you, Panchanan, for all those updates there on that big story. Meanwhile, intense heatwave conditions also continue to wreak havoc in Bihar. Now, 101 people have died in Gaya, Nawada and Aurangabad districts in Bihar due to scorching heat and loo. At 58, Aurangabad has reported the highest number of casualties, followed by 39 in Gaya and 14 in Nawada. As per the control room set up by the state's Disaster Management Department, Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar has issued elaborate instructions to deal with the intense heat wave conditions in the state. Meanwhile, according to the Met Department, conditions are now becoming favorable for the further advance of the southwest monsoon in the country. Predicting heavy rains in most parts of Maharashtra, the Indian Met Department has said that there is a widespread rainfall that is likely this weekend in the Konkan region. And in the last 24 hours, isolated parts of Goa and Konkan received heavy rains, whereas parts of central Maharashtra and Marathwada also received moderate rainfall. Moderate to heavy rainfall is also expected in Pune and neighbouring areas on Sunday as well. Significant weather changes are also likely to be seen in Telangana, Odisha, West Bengal, Chhattisgarh, Bihar, Jharkhand and eastern Uttar Pradesh over the next 72 hours. And on to the other top story this morning. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Japan next week to attend the G20 summit. The Ministry of External Affairs announced on Friday that Prime Minister Modi will attend the 14th G20 summit in Osaka in Japan from 28th to 29th of June. He will be accompanied by former Union Minister Suresh Prabhu. The G20 summit will focus on issues such as financial stability, WTO reform, black money and terrorism that will be on top of the agenda for India. The summit will also be attended by the heads of state or government of member countries, EU and other invited nations and international organizations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has emerged as the world's most powerful person 2019 in the Readers' poll conducted by UK-based British Herald magazine. Now, winning 30.9% of the votes polled, PM Modi was well placed ahead of his closest contenders, which include Russian President Vladimir Putin, US President Donald Trump, and Chinese President Xi Jinping. PM Modi will now be featured on the cover page of the 15th of July edition of the magazine. It earlier featured New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern in the May-June issue and Putin in its March-April issue. The GST Council on Friday extended the tenure of the Anti-Profiteering Authority by 2 years and approved imposing a penalty of up to 10% on the entities not passing on the benefits of the GST rate cuts to their customers. Now, briefing media persons after the 35th meeting of the Council, Revenue Secretary A.B. Pandey said that it has been decided to allow the use of Aadhaar by businesses to register with the GST network. Also, it extended the date for filing of annual returns under the Goods and Services Tax regime by 2 months to 30th of August. The one-form new GST return filing system will be applicable from 1st of January 2020. Headed by the Union Finance Minister and comprising of representatives of all states and union territories, the GST Council also approved an electronic invoicing system and e-ticketing in multiplexes.
I was quite happy that the environment was very conducive. Good, meaningful discussions happened. Absolutely to the point discussions. And across the board, there seemed to be a very solid understanding on the issues related to the GST. It was such a very heartening experience to be here.
GST rate on sale of electric vehicles from the current 12% to 5%. And also the GST rate on the electric chargers, where the leasing of electric vehicles, so reducing rate on that GST on the leasing of the electric vehicles. So all these three proposals have been sent to the Fitment Committee.
And on to the other top story this morning. Global financial watchdog, a Financial Action Task Force, or the FATF, has issued a strong warning to Pakistan, stating that the country could be blacklisted if it fails to eliminate terror financing. The Paris-based global body has asked Pakistan to reassess the operation of banned terrorist outfits by October or face action, which could possibly lead to the country getting blacklisted. In a statement, the FATF expressed concern that not only did Pakistan fail to complete its action plan items with the January deadlines, it also failed to complete its action plans items that were due May 2019. The FATF has strongly asked Pakistan to complete its action plan by October 2019, when the last set of action plan items are set to expire. Otherwise, the FATF will decide the next step at the time for insufficient progress. The international financial body said, leaving a strong warning to Pakistan. The FATF had placed Pakistan on the grey list of countries in June last year. Now, this means that FATF considers Pakistan to have weak domestic laws to deal with the challenges of money laundering and terrorism financing. Now, if Pakistan continues to remain in the grey list, it would risk being downgraded by the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and Asian Development Bank, besides facing negative assessments by the credit rating agencies. If blacklisted by FATF, Pakistan also stands the risk of facing global sanctions. Now, reacting to the FATF's warning, Pakistan said that it was committed to taking measures needed to implement the action plan agreed with the FATF to come out of the grey list. And let us get all the updates. Our colleague Akhilesh Suman is joining us on the phone line. Akhilesh, we have seen how Pakistan has remained on the FATF's grey list since June last year. And the latest that we are getting is that it has actually avoided being placed on the blacklist with the Turkey's support. But the question is, will Pakistan implement those measures that it is required to implement in order to come out of that grey list?
Yes, the words are very, hard and harsh against Pakistan. And if you go through the whole statement, and the statement is the outcome of stage debate on the financial terror financing. It includes Pakistan and other countries too. But in case of Pakistan, the FATF committee has risen 10 points. And the 10 points include both understanding and sensitivity. Lack of understanding in Pakistani establishment, lack of sensitivity and supervision of the risk inside the Pakistani establishment. They also said that the sanction applied against the terror organization has not been implemented. The enforcement agencies are not working against the illegal money. The cash couriers has not been identified till now. And the statement also says that the interagency coordination is lacking in Pakistan. That means that there is a low coordination on terror funding between ISI, between federal government of Pakistan, between state governments of Pakistan, between local police agencies of Pakistan. So there is complete disarray in Pakistan as far as the terror funding stoppage is concerned. It also says that investigation on terror funding has not also been done satisfactorily. And enhancement, the statement says that judiciary in Pakistan is too weak to take action against the terror financiers. So this is very, very insinuating a statement by the FATF. The FATF statement also says that action against 1267 committee and 1373 committees terrorists, that means Hafiz Saeed and likes of Masood Azhar, there is no case has been filed and no action has been taken against these two terrorists, traded terrorists. The terror organizations, are not under complete watch in the Pakistani establishment. So if you go through the whole statement, and India was also present in the FATF meeting, India has presented, dossier against how terrorist financing is working in Pakistan and how it is not just inside Pakistan, but it transcends the Pakistan boundaries, like in Afghanistan, like in India, and maybe other countries. So I think this is a very insinuating statement against Pakistan, and Pakistan has to take, a stand and action. So Pakistan, in its own statement and submission, has said that Pakistan has taken action against 700 properties of Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jamaatul Dawa, Jaise Muhammad, Falah Mahmood, but FATF committee was not satisfied. And I think this is the last warning that is being given to Pakistan, that, either mend your style or you have to face the consequences. And the consequences will be like sanctions that we are seeing against Iran. So all transactions of Pakistan, international transaction of Pakistan may be stopped, or exports may be stopped. So Pakistan will be in the dire financial situation. Yes. So I think this is the last time that Pakistani agencies, including ISI, Pakistani army, military, Pakistani central government and Pakistani state government, including local police, has to sit and they have to decide that whether they want to face the sanctions of the international community or they will continue. So I think this is a red herring for Pakistan in coming days.
Absolutely.
And Indian government has also reacted this morning, just I think 5 minutes before. Official spokesperson Ravish Kumar has said that Pakistan should take action till September, because from October, the statement says that till October you have to fulfill. So India says that till September you fulfill the permission or you face the consequences.
Absolutely. So Pakistan has avoided being placed on the FATF blacklist at this moment. But of course, the danger still persists because the body will take a final decision in October. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for all those updates there on that story. And on to some other news. The United States has sought a UN Security Council meeting amid escalating tensions with Iran. Now, this after a US drone was shot down by Iranian forces earlier this week. Now, Iran confirmed on Thursday that it brought down the unmanned aircraft in Iranian airspace. The US, however, said that the drone was in international territory when it was hit by a surface-to-air missile. Meanwhile, Donald Trump on Friday called off a retaliatory strike on Iranian targets that would have killed 150 people, calling it a disproportionate response to the downing of the American drone.
They came and they said, "Sir, we're ready to go. We'd like a decision." I said, "I want to know something before you go. How many people will be killed? In this case, Iranians." I said, "How many people are going to be killed?" "Sir, I'd like to get back to you on that." Great people, these generals. They said, came back, said, "Sir, approximately 150. And I thought about it for a second. And I said, you know what? They shot down an unmanned drone, plane, whatever you want to call it. And here we are sitting with 150 dead people that would have taken place probably within a half an hour after I said go ahead. Yeah. And I didn't like it. I didn't think it was proportionate.
And now news from the Cricket World Cup. Well, Team India will take on Afghanistan today in Southampton today in their 5th match of the tournament. The men in blue are looking to continue their winning streak at the Rose Bowl, where they defeated South Africa on 5th of June. India have not lost a match so far in the tournament, having won 3 of the 4 matches, while 1 match against New Zealand was washed out. Now, India is currently in the top of 4 teams in the points table with 7 points. However, Team India will be missing its 2 key players, Shikhar Dhawan and Bhuvneshwar Kumar. Wicketkeeper batsman Rishabh Pant is set to make his World Cup debut today in place of Shikhar Dhawan. Afghanistan are yet to win a match in the tournament. They have lost all their 5 matches that they have played till now. And in another World Cup clash today, New Zealand will face West Indies at Manchester's Old Trafford ground today. The match will start at 6 p.m. Indian time. And earlier in a thrilling upset in the ICC Cricketing World Cup, Sri Lanka defeated tournament favourites and hosts England by 20 runs in Leeds yesterday, keeping their hopes of a semi-final spot alive. Now, chasing 233, the host was smothered by a brilliant Sri Lankan bowling performance. And with this loss, England stayed 3rd in the 10-team table. But their 3 most difficult group games against Australia, India and New Zealand are yet to be played. And with this win, Sri Lanka has climbed to the 5th spot, only 2 points behind England. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks for watching. Have a lovely day ahead.